Hello, M3EP. Today our lecture is on genetics, the scientific study of heredity. Heredity being the passing of physical and mental features or traits from parents to offspring, babies. Okay, so you've seen this before. You've got a mother and father, and the father is going to pass an allele for gender. He's going to pass either an X or a Y. The female is going to pass an X. Okay, so these are different forms of a gene called alleles. The example here is gender. And if the father passes an X, and the mother is always going to pass an X, then you get a girl. And if the father passes a Y, an X and a Y will give you a boy. Okay, so what is a trait? Now I just want to remind you the words feature and trait are synonyms, meaning the same thing. So a trait is a feature that changes from one organism to another. Now these traits can be inherited. We're talking about genetics, and so this is our lecture today is on inherited features. But they can also be from the environment or both, and our examples here being brown hair or green dyed hair, an example from the environment and choices you make. Tall or thin, and the eye color. So what is an allele? Alleles are the different forms of a given gene. Using eye color, blue, brown, green, or hazel. So this is a picture of Gregor Mendel. He's the father of genetics, and he did the first important studies on heredity. So what did he do? Well, Gregor Mendel did research and conducted experiments with pea plants. He identified different features, and he bred the plants from generation to generation and made observations based on that. The cross-pollination technique that I talked to you about in the last lecture was developed by Gregor Mendel, and this is basically what he did. In generation 1, he took a plant that was purebred tall and the plant that was purebred short, and so then he crossed them. And in generation 2, all the plants that were produced were tall, and then he took 2 of these plants, and in generation 3, he found that 3 out of 4 of the plants were tall. So this led Gregor Mendel to hypothesize that there were 2 characteristics that he called determiners, one coming from the mother and one coming from the father for every trait. So how is this possible? One must be dominant over the other. So the dominant is the trait that shows, and we represent that using a capital letter. And the recessive is the trait that is hidden. It's the one that you do not see, but it is in the genes. So dominant and recessive practice, we're going to use the letter T for hair straightness or curling. Now dominant is straight hair, so we'll use a capital letter T. Capital T, straight hair. Capital T, lowercase t, you get straight hair because the capital T is the dominant trait, dominant allele. And lowercase t, then you'll get the curly hair. You have the recessive trait. Okay. Genotype versus phenotype. So the genotype, the gene or allele combination an organism has, and the phenotype, the physical features that of an organism, the way an organism looks. So I underlined pH to help you to remember pH and physical feature, because it corresponds with the pH and phenotype, just to help you remember. And so what do you have going on here? Examples: curly hair, straight hair, blue eyes, tall and green. It's what you see. So the physical feature is what you see, and it's the phenotype. But in the genes, the combination is called the genotype. Homozygous versus heterozygous. So homozygous is 2 identical alleles. Okay, heterozygous is two different alleles. And an easy way to remember this is you can think of homosexual and heterosexual. Homosexual is when a man likes a man or a woman likes a woman. Same sex. Same identical alleles for homozygous. And heterozygous is two different alleles. With humans, it would be liking the opposite sex, different sex. Okay, so this is a Punnett square. It's a very easy way to do these crosses. It can show all of the possible gene combinations that might result if you were to take two different parents and cross them, and you would see what would come out in the next generation. So we call this probability, which is the chance that a given event will occur. So this is a little bit of practice of how this is done. You just take the letter and you put it through all the columns, and you put it through all the rows, and it shows the offspring, and the parents are on the outside of the box. And this last slide here is all of these vocabulary words just put on one slide to help you out. I hope you got a lot out of this today, and if you have any questions, let me know when we get together again in class. Thank you. See you then. Bye-bye.